So, good morning, everybody. It is not Friday, so if you're subscribed to the YouTube channel and you say, "Oh boy, calendar's off," or "I'm off," it is not Friday. Today is Wednesday. The MDY Daf Yomi, my Dvar is in it this week, and we're putting actually a link to YouTube in the newsletter. So guy wants it by Thursday, so we're shooting this on Wednesday so I can get it to the editor by tomorrow morning. So, used to be my favorite mitzvah in the Torah. It's my second favorite now. So, Egel Aruf is my favorite. Bikurrim is number 2. And then hopefully I'll be able to do this mitzvah, Bikurrim, God willing. Although Egel Aruf, it's okay if I don't do it because that means somebody died. So, Bikurrim, hopefully we'll get to that mitzvah, God willing, when Mashiach comes. Beis Mikdash, we'll have Bikurim. I actually have an orange tree in the backyard here, and it's Drabanan to bring the first of the oranges. So, we'll see. So, Bikurim is special because all the Mefarshim talk about that it's a special Todah Hashem, a special Hodah, and you have a special parsha to say in front of the Kohen. You bring your first of the Zayin Minim, or you bring any of the first of the other fruits, and from the time it really starts to grow, you put a string around it, you know exactly which is the first, and then when it's time, when it's ready, bring it up to the Beis Mikdash. Fantastic. So the Kli Yakar talks about this, that a person, the first tendency when they put all this effort and kochos into something, the first effort is to really savor it themselves. A farmer works the whole year, and the first fruits come. Really, the first thing he wants to do is eat it. Most important thing. I worked so hard for this, and you can see this in the stores. You go to the pizza shop or some other stores, and it's $1 on the wall. It's just $1. Who cares? No, it was the first dollar the guy made when he opened up the store. That's important. Some people like the dollar they got from the Rebbe. It's just $1. No, it can't live up to Rebbe. It's a special dollar. It's priceless, literally priceless. So first dollar. So we see that it's not just the first of the oranges, or the first apples, or the first of the olives or grapes. This is really, it's not just something. This is the first one of the whole year that I put my kochos into it. And the tendency that people would say is, I'm going to eat this myself. So Bikurim kind of changes that. Bikurim says, I really want to have this myself, but it's a lesson that, this really, Hashem owns everything. Hashem caused it to grow, and that's my first thought. That's my thought process. I was thinking, there was a Netziv from last week's parsha in Kiseitze. It talks about towards the end of the parsha before Amalek. There's a tie-in to weights and measures, not to have an illegal weight, be honorable, and right to that is Amalek. And what's the kesher there? So then Tziv mentioned, so this last week, Rabbi Feldman brought this down. I spoke to Daniel Hartstein about this also. The point is Amunah. So if you believe you have $100,000 for the year, that's what you believe is you're entitled to. You're going to do all you can to get to that, and maybe cheat a little bit. Hashem slotted you in for 100,000, 125,000, or 200,000, whatever it is. And you know what? Towards the end of the year, I didn't get my bonus that year. I have to kind of cut the corners to kind of get to that number. Or I believe that that's not right. You know what? I'm slated for $130,000 or whatever it is, $150,000. You know what? I really need more. I believe in Hashem, I have my parnasa, but there's a piece extra that I really have to kind of work on. I need extra. And this is kind of a lack of emunah, and this causes Amalek. So it's not just an issue of not believing totally, but it's a lack of emunah. And lack of emunah will bring Amalek. That's the opposite of emunah. Karach b'derech, happenstance. That's kind of the place there. So I was thinking this is literally Bikurim, because a person, unlike Meiser Rishon, Meiser Sheni, Truma, which is percentage. So theoretically, if I have a huge harvest or a small harvest, I can say, listen, 10%, or I still have 90%, and truma is only 2%, so I'll get 98%, whatever the case is. So with other types of truma and meiser, you're not so nervous about that you're not going to have anything to eat. Bikurrim is a little different. Bikurrim, when things start to grow and you set aside that for bikurrim, now all of a sudden you have to take it to the Beis Hamikdash in a month or so, there's a good chance you're not going to get more than that. So there's a higher level, I believe, of bikurrim than the other trumas and meisers, because this may be it. Once you kind of put in your mind and you set aside, this is bikurrim, that's bikurrim, this is bikurrim, there's a good chance there may be a storm, or there may be some other things going on there, and then that may be it, and you're giving it away. So it turns out you can give away, could be a larger percentage. And even though bikurrim could be done with a small amount, elam shear, 1/60th of the harvest, I think, is the minimum, is really a greater amount. You can actually give more. You can give more on payros, you give more stuff, not just the zayin midim. So I believe there's also a level of emunah tied in to bikurrim more than the other types of trumas and meisers. Nowadays, we don't really have bikurrim. One of the ways you can do bikurrim nowadays is saying shechianu. Shechianu, thanking Hashem for the new fruits, is another way of acknowledging Hashem. Another way is giving the rabbi new fruits, letting him make a bracha. That's another way, just like we give to the Kohen, you're giving the fruits to the Rav. That's another way that I saw brought down. A third way is when you make a bracha hamotzi. Break on hamotzi. You're actually using all 10 fingers, and to symbolize, there's actually 10 mitzvos that you do with bread, and one of them is bikurrim. It's the new fruits, new grain. Another final piece I saw on bikurrim was a small piece I saw literally this morning from the Pri Tzaddik. Pri Tzaddik talks about that you are actually involving Hashem in your process from start to finish. Unlike truma, you give to the Kohen when it's grown, or other mitzvos that you do it at the Shas Hamaisa when you do it, Bikurim is different. Bikurim, you actually have your game plan right in the start of the growing season. So unlike another mitzvah where you think about it for a day, a minute, maybe you think about it for a week or so, Bikurim is something that you actually start right when it's not even growing yet. Right when you put the fertilizer in, you put the seed in, you water it. From that process, and starts to grow literally from there all the way, months later, so you get to the Beis Hamikdash, you actually have the thought process that everything's from Hashem, whether it started out as fertilizer, was just a seed, the entire process until you actually give it to the Kohen, that whole time frame, you think about Hashem, and you thank Hashem for the entire process. It's not just the finished process, the beginning process. We want to thank Hashem for the entire process, and hopefully we come to a new year. We think about the things we're thankful for the past year, small things, whether it's things growing in your backyards, a couple, 80 or so, 70 oranges, to the large things, to health, to your children, grandchildren, your parents. And hopefully this year we have a lot to thank Hashem for. We have a lot of good stuff. Well, Shabbat Shalom.